Hey, Forge fans, it is the Forge Audio Network. I'm Anthony Urciuoli, and this is the match in review. Forge FC 4-3 winners at Edmonton. This game had it all, rather. So if you stayed up for it and you're on the East Coast, you got 7 goals, you got a hat trick, you got an Edmonton team that would not go away, threatening late that they might pull off some kind of magic and stun Forge, but at the end, it's Forge FC with the win. And as we go down the stat line here, 10 shots, 10 shot attempts. Edmonton had 5 attempts. The difference, though, is the shots on target. Forge with 7. Edmonton had 2 and finished with 3 goals. There was an own goal mixed in there. But possession is the one I want you to focus on here. Forge had better than 75% of the possession. Now, last time these two clubs played in Hamilton, Alan Koch, the coach for FC Edmonton, said it was like watching men against boys. Forge FC being the men and Edmonton being the boys. And it was you can see how it might come across as a bit of an insult, but what he's talking about is the fact that you have an experienced club against an inexperienced club. It's the men, the boys, and he's talking about it in terms of experience, and that reared its head again. Although to Edmonton's credit, I mean, again, they scored 3 goals, and they pushed late and at least gave Forge a bit of a scare. They had to think about it a little bit. So Edmonton did all they could. And speaking of Alan Koch, we're going to hear from him. And it's tough not to feel a little bit bad for FC Edmonton as a whole, even if you are a Forge fan. You want Forge to get the win, of course. 2 things can be true. You want Forge to win. You can still kind of feel for Edmonton. We're going to hear from Alan Koch. We're going to hear from Cairo Core also, just to get a glimpse into FC Edmonton and there's the realities of the sport and the situation. And of course, you're going to hear from Forge FC head coach and technical director Bobby Smyrniotis, and you're going to hear from the man who finished with a hat trick, Tristan Borges, the first ever hat trick in Forge FC history. Forge FC had to come back twice in this match. Kamara opened the scoring for the home side in the 12th minute. And 9 minutes later, Tristan Borges with the first of 3. And there was an Alessandro Hojab Rapport own goal that got Edmonton back in front. That was in the 34th minute. Forge trailing 2-1 at this point. And then Tristan Borges again in the 61st minute. That was the brace. 3 minutes later, Basante with the own goal. That put Forge up 3-2 at that point. And then Tristan Borges finishes the hat trick in the 82nd minute. That would be the game winner. It was 4-2 at that point. And again, I mentioned Edmonton would make it close in the 87th minute. Cairo Core with his first CPL goal and gave Forge at least something to think about at the end of the match. Now, someone who stood out to me in this match, Borges is the obvious here, and he should, definitely man of the match, no argument there, of course. But Sissoko was unbelievable for Forge tonight. On the first goal, it was his press that forced the turnover that eventually led to Borges' goal, and then Sissoko with the assist on Borges' second goal, spotting the run, delivering the ball. And Sissoko was a topic of conversation after the match. Head coach Bobby Smyrniotis.
Yeah, he's an important player to the team. He's one of those flex players that can move in different positions in the midfield, at right back as a right wing back, and I think that's very important to have. And he's shown his quality playing, across there. Maybe doesn't get a lot of the credit that he should because he's playing in these different positions, but he gives a different dynamic piece to us in midfield, and that's one thing we wanted to see today. And I thought he was excellent at it in his pressing areas, and then just on the ball when he was moving the ball quickly and being vertical about it. I thought he was very good. I think it's important individually for the player. He needed a performance like this to come out there and score goals. I think it's something he's been working very hard at, and maybe it hasn't been there for a little bit of luck, plus a couple of these small little nagging injuries that have kept him out of the lineup on a couple of games. So I think it's important for him to come out here, put the team on his back, get the goals today, and send us home with 3 points.
I just wanted to ask you about the momentum, the importance of this match and carrying momentum into Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing is not so much the momentum for Saturday. It's the momentum of where we need to be in the league and in the standings. And with winning our next few games, we're right up at the top where we want to be. So that's important. Yeah, and then the psychology of things. It's always you're getting prepared for a big match coming up on Saturday. You want to have the smiles on the faces of the players. You have a trip now, which you'll be traveling overnight and taking that flight. It's a lot easier with 3 points in the bag, right? So that all makes everything going forward, a little bit better. But we've got a lot of work to prepare ourselves for a tough opponent on Saturday.
That was the head coach. Now let's hear from the man of the match, Tristan Borges, the first ever Forge player to score a hat trick.
Obviously, it's a great feeling. For me, it's just as long as we won. To be honest with you, obviously it's something special. First in Forge history, first in my career professionally. So it's obviously something important for myself. But I think the most important thing for me this game was it helped my team win. So can't take all the credit. I don't think I was on the list for first PK taker. So I got to give credit also to Woobs. I think that just goes to show the type of team that we are. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, but we just got to grind it out, and I think this was a great game to show what we're capable of and, why we're two-time champions. And it's just going game by game here. But just to give, obviously, a thanks to my teammate, but I think that just goes to show the type of player that he is, the type of team that we have. So.
Yeah, and obviously now some momentum going into Saturday. I know the dust has just settled with Edmonton, but I guess it's time to talk Toronto now. Maybe just talk about that match on Saturday and what it means for the club. It's obviously for the fans, it's huge. For the city, it's big. But maybe just talk about the weight of Saturday's match.
I think it's very important. Obviously, it's self-explanatory who we're playing. But in my opinion, I think it's even more important now just because of the game that we played against Montreal. I don't think that was our best game. I think it didn't really show what we're capable of. I don't think we played we had a well-deserved game. We had a different outcome that we wanted, right? And for us, it's just looking at how that game was already important to us to continue that run for the Canada Championship this year. And us not playing well, I think that's even more motivation to go out and win this final. Obviously, we know TFC is a quality team. They got quality veterans, quality players, even the young guys. So I always say it's just game by game. So now that this game is over with, focusing on the next game, which is TFC. We know the importance of the game, and it's just taking it game by game. There's not really much to say about it other than just trying to play our football. Obviously it's amazing to be playing at home. I think that's a really good advantage for us. We would love to, have another trophy, and especially to do it in front of our own fans. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, Forge has to be feeling pretty good about their effort tonight. Didn't start the way they wanted to. They were up against a lot this week. I mean, psychologically even, and then the travel's not always easy. Edmonton, though, they really did all they could. I mean, you can't possibly blame FC Edmonton's effort tonight. And let's hear from Edmonton coach Alan Koch, and always very candid, and once again was interesting to listen to after the match.
Yeah, I sound like a broken record after every single game. Our guys are working their absolute backsides off. I think people can see that. We're trying to maximize what we have at our disposal. We just lack maturity, experience, leadership, and that's purely based on budget. So I am a broken record, but those are facts, and that's our reality. So yeah, very disappointed. It's not fun losing every single week. I know we're supposed to lose. We know that. we're not set up for success. But we're going to fight. We're going to keep fighting until the bitter end.
Now, if you just want to know how important this match was for FC Edmonton and how they were approaching it, listen to Cairo Core, who scored for Edmonton tonight, and the way they viewed this match against Forge.
I mean, it's a difficult game. Forge is arguably one of the best teams in the league, and coming here, we went into this as if it was like our Champions League final. Our goal going in was 3 points, and you could see the first 45 minutes we were hungry for those 3 points. But it came down to moments, unfortunately, and those moments costed us the 3 points. But I mean, going forward, it's something that the boys can use and go on to the next game, and grow each time, because we're a young team. So every single game, the experience we take is just growth.
Joining us on the match in review on the Forge Audio Network, Benedict Rhodes from canpl.ca. Benedict, thanks for staying up and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we heard from. There's a lot to unpack from some of those comments in the press conference, and we'll start with Forge. A lot of talk about just the distraction of Toronto FC, and I saw it firsthand at the facility this week. A lot of media there that don't normally cover Forge showing up, and it's because of Toronto FC, and it must have been difficult to focus on Edmonton as hard as they tried. It kind of looked, at least early on, that it wasn't really the Forge club we expected out of the gates.
Yeah, I think they maybe looked a little bit distracted, like you said. Maybe they were prone to an error that they might not have made. If they maybe didn't have one eye on Saturday. I think maybe that also showed a little bit with the team selection. Leaving Terran Campbell on the bench, for example, he's a starter, I think, most of the time for this Forge team. So there's definitely a bit of a look forward to that game. But I think, like you said, they didn't even think about the gates as fast as they would have liked to.
Yeah, and Borges getting the hat trick. Obviously, he thinks he can bring more. The coaches want him to bring more. He's been he's been actually pretty unlucky this season with different injuries and whatnot. But 3 goals like that, it's enough to get you at least feeling good going into the weekend against Toronto, I would think.
Certainly, a Toronto FC team used to be in Academy for as well, so he's some extra motivation for that game, I think, and to have one of your best players, firing on all cylinders now, starting to pick up the pace again, especially ahead of a game like that. I think that's exactly what you want from Forge.
Yeah, and it's tough not to. I know as a Forge, Forge fans maybe don't want to hear it, but it is tough. It's hard not to feel bad for Edmonton at certain points. The effort was there. We heard from Alan Koch, FC Edmonton coach, and he's as honest as you're going to get. And he said, "Look, we aren't able to spend the way other teams can, and as a result, the product in the field isn't quite up to maybe the highest standards that we've seen. It's a harsh reality, but you kind of respect him for the honesty."
Yeah, definitely. He's not one to mix his words, that's for sure. And like you said, that might have been the difference in this game is the leadership, the experience playing in the game with all young players in Edmonton, a lot of guys in their first or maybe second seasons, and whereas Forge is a much more experienced team, a lot of the players have won the league twice or played in 3 finals, some of them. So there's definitely a bit of a drop in quality, I think, there, and I don't think that's unfair to say. Alan Koch says himself on a pretty much weekly basis, and it is unfortunate for FC Edmonton, but it's kind of just the way it is right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and when you see, when you hear a club say that this was like one of their this was a Champions League final for them, a regular season match against Forge. That kind of just sums up what the mentality is of Edmonton this year. It looks like they're intent on just kind of surviving and developing some guys, and at least hoping for their first win of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Alan Koch has said a few times this year that one of the main benefits of this season is giving these young guys a chance. They have a lot of players on loan as well from other CPL teams, so it's giving them a chance to impress and sort of further their careers. But I think, like you said, the goal for FC Edmonton this year is definitely just kind of see out the season. Maybe it's sad to say that early in the season, but they're just kind of work on developing players, developing systems, and seeing what they can build from this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so 4-3 the final. Forge FC on top of FC Edmonton. Benedict Rhodes from canpl.ca. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
All right, your final from Edmonton, 4-3 in favor of Forge FC. Tristan Borges with a hat trick. Up next, finally, years in the making. Also, the players, the coaches can stop answering questions about it. After Saturday, Forge FC will host Toronto FC in the 2020 Canadian Championship Final. I'll be there. I hope to see you there. Remember, keep it locked to the Forge Audio Network. Plenty more coming up this week, including coverage, previews of Forge FC's match against Toronto FC. We'll talk to you soon.
We are the Forge, the mighty, mighty.